Hi everyone, I hope you're doing super well. Today I have a lot of plant chores to do, and guess what? You get to do them with me. So let's get to it. All right, first things first, we are going to pot up this Alocasia platinum. It is a newer species and hasn't been really given too much information, aside from the fact that it receives typical Alocasia care, which is fairly simple, just kind of bright, indirect sunlight, make sure that it's watered, and that's it. I don't know its origin story because there isn't too much info, but what we're going to do is we are going to pop this baby up, and I'm going to use this pot because it's a little bit bigger than this guy's current pot right here. And when you're repotting a plant, you want to make sure that you just go up kind of like a half an inch to an inch type of size, so not too large unless the plant's roots, of course, have gotten much larger. So I'm trying to think for a second, which is difficult. I was trying to think about where I'm going to put this soil, but you know what? I'm just going to put it here on this mat, and I'll deal with it afterwards and cleaning it up. So yeah, with ooh, it's got some nice roots too. So with Alocasia care, it's pretty much like I was saying, bright indirect light, and I like to put in a little bit of fertilizer with my Alocasias every time that I water them. And I use an Alaska fish fertilizer 511 because plants just like fish poop. That's just how it is, you know? So I put a little dab of that inside the water and water them weekly. Or since we're still in the summer months, sometimes bi-weekly, or twice a week rather, I should say. That way they get all the nutrients that they need to care and grow healthy. What I love about this plant, though, and what drew me to it is not only its shield-like leaves, but the fact that they are indeed, like its name goes, very platinum. They have a shiny reflection to them that's silver platinum-ish, and it just looks really pretty. So I've had this plant for a couple of weeks now, and I've been wanting to pot it up, but wanted to acclimate to my conditions here, my apartment, which, by the way, there's a lot of plants in here. So what I'm going to do is just try to loosely break up the soil around its roots. And it's got some nice roots for being this size plant. I mean, it's probably about 6, 8 inches tall, and I'm really liking the way that it's looking. So I want to make sure that it's not just sitting in a plastic pot, the one that it came in, because I could already tell based off of the bottom of this plant, the pot, that the roots are coming through. So it was definitely time for it to be repotted. So I got about a good chunk of the soil off. What I want to do is just wash off a little bit more of it. So we'll be back in a second. All right, I'm back, and I washed off a little bit more of that soil, so we should be good to go. I'm using a chunky aeroid soil mix here, which if you've seen any of my videos, then you know how much I talk about a chunky aeroid soil mix, which has cocoa, coir, pine bark, regular soil, some perlite, activated charcoal. Let's see what else we got in here. Horticultural charcoal, I should say. Worm castings and peat moss in it, which is really great. It helps out with making it kind of more of a well-draining soil, which is what we want to go for with any plant like this that is an Araceae, falls under the aeroids, like Alocasia, philodendron, epiprenum, syndapsis. And I'm just pouring a little bit of rooting hormone powder on its roots just to make the transfer over a little bit easier on this beauty. Okay, so got that in there. Now I'm just going to put some more soil around it and shake it around and then push it down in there so it stays in there. It stays good. And boom, bam, there we go. So that's all potted up. And then what I'm going to do is give it some water here in a second. But in the meantime, one thing that I had done a video on a little while back was about pon and trying pon for the first time. And one of the plants that I tried it on was my Alocasia Jaclyn here, which I absolutely love. But as you can tell, it has been not loving the pon as much. Pon is this kind of like soil type of substrate that is kind of, it's rocky, but apparently like a lot of plants love it. But I have to tell you, my two alocasias that I potted up in it did not love it as much. And so I repotted one of them already, my Alocasia Quilted Dream, and I potted it up in this chunky aroid soil mix, and it seems to like it a lot more. So I'm not sure. I felt like I was doing everything right that I should have been with pon, but my plants just apparently didn't like it. So I am going to transfer this baby over into some chunky aroid soil mix. And I can already tell just looking at its roots that, I mean, the roots look healthy still, but they don't seem really happy. So what I'm going to do is give this a quick wash over, and then we're going to pot it up in some of that chunky aroid soil mix. Be right back. All right, I washed that off. Now I'm going to use this clear plastic pot to pot the Jaclyn up in. As soon as I can get this darn sticker off the bottom of it. There we go. Now I've been doing this with a lot of my plants lately, is potting them up in these clear plastic pots that have good drainage on the bottom. That way I can keep a close eye on the root growth, which is something I always want to do and make sure that plants are healthy and happy and all that good stuff. So just put a little bit more in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my rooting hormone powder and pour it on its roots, and then transfer it over into here. I want to make sure to be gentle with those roots, of course, because the roots are like the brain of the plant. Okay, got that around good enough. And so now I'm going to take some of this soil and just put it around the side like we did prior, and should be good to go. I did notice the good thing is that even though it didn't seem to really like pon as much, and it's probably just like my situation with it, and maybe it's just I just didn't understand pon enough. I don't know. It was supposed to be really easy, but there is some new growth coming out. I just noticed it in this plant, so I still have that going for it. I'm going to take like a little pole to hold up this leaf. Hopefully it doesn't die like the last one did. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now that they're both potted up, is I'm going to water them, and we'll continue on with my plant chores. Okay, last thing that I need to do is just water some of these plants that I have growing on my green wall over here. I recently did a video about putting up this heartleaf philodendron heteroecium around the TV to kind of give it more of a jungle vibe. This one right here. A lot of the plants that I have up here are indeed philodendron heteroecium. This one's the philodendron Brazil. You got the neon green one. You have your standard one here. So those are among the plants that I'm watering today, including my bromeliad over here. Two of them, actually four of them, two red ones and two red ones and two orange ones. I can't even count today. I'm just a mess, everyone. That's pretty much what it is. But I'm going to focus on the philodendron heteroecium first. I have them in these Wally Grow planters up on my wall here. These things I've had for about 2 or 3 years now, these Wally Grow planters, and I find them to be absolutely perfect for this sort of condition where you want hanging plants inside of a wall, on a wall, without having to water them as much, because on the back of them they have these cool little slips where you can put in water, and it allows for you to put in enough that makes it so you don't have to water it all the time, which as a plant parent I'm sure many of you would absolutely love. But yeah, so I have a couple of those. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, Got those three. I'll do the global green pothos and the other heartleaf philodendron hederaceum, neon green edition, of course. Next, I'm just going to move this philodendron hederaceum that I have on the ground over here out of the way. Put that on the couch. That way I can get in here and not have to worry about these plants being in the way. Whoop. I have some water propagations hanging from there as well. I got those cool little glass hangers, hanging propagation stations off Amazon a couple of years back. They were pretty cheap. If you just search like glass propagation plants on Amazon, you can find them. Probably a ton more since then that are even more creative or unique. Okay, little bromeliad, you'll get some water too. So these ones look like, the ones that the bromeliads are in the global green pothos, they look like the Wally grow planters, but they were actually basically Target's version of them, and they were super cheap. Like I got a 2-pack for $5, and every so often I'll still see them at a Target, but now that we're nearing the end of August, it might be a little bit harder to find them. But if you can, I highly suggest them because they're really inexpensive and great. I'm going to do these two bromeliads in the sink. But yeah, that is the plant chores that I have for you today. Not really that exciting, you know, but alas, such is the case with all plant chores. Hey, if you guys haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more fun planty content. I'll see you guys in the next video.